Another episode of Amputee Outdoors. I'm your host Glenn, and today I'm going to show you my Tyvek Rainfly. Now, I've had a narwhal Rainfly which I really liked. Kudos to the narwhal team and company, but my son has kind of been using that now. I've got a big huge black plastic tarp which I really like, and I'm probably going to use throughout the winter, I think, because it is much bigger. But I've also got this Rainfly made out of Tyvek that I'm going to show you today. Tyvek comes from my brother Carl. Thanks, Carl, appreciate it. And if you're in the DIY world or make your own gear kind of world, finding someone that's in construction, being in construction, having a relative that's in construction, always a win. You guys who've got that, you already know that, don't you? Now, what you've got here, you've got your DIY bag that I made. My DIY bag for my my little spikes, and I've got two bungee cords here that I'm going to use as well, and inside some Tyvek wrapped up, and I've got some mason line on it and some duct tape. I'll show you how I put that all together. But I just want to point out, I know that right now there's probably a certain silver-haired Canadian watching this and seeing those bungee cords, and he's thinking to himself right now, yeah, you go ahead with those bungee cords, Glenn, get yourself smacked in the face by them. I know. Some of you are also thinking, bungee cords, is that a safe idea? I like using these bungee cords for a reason. When I set up the Tyvek Rainfly, I'll show you why as I'm doing it, okay? All right, so with that, let me get a couple of things set up here, and I'll show you how this is all set up, and then we'll walk through the details of it, okay? All right, hold on now. All right, here we are in our high-end studios here in Sammamish. Just have to move the camera so we've got a better view, I think, of the two trees here, and also my hiking, ski, trekking poles. I don't actually ski, I just have ski poles for trekking. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, got my stakes, spikes, whatever you want to call them. I'm just going to put those in my pocket right there. Take the bungee cords off. Put those down there for now. And the first thing that we take out is our ridiculously long length of paracord. I know there's a lot of DIYers that prefer to use other cord for this kind of stuff, and you know, whatever you prefer, use that. I like paracord because it does have a little bit of stretch to it, but I can live with that. But it's extremely strong, extremely durable, and it's also very affordable. That's kind of a key thing for me, affordability. Anyway, so what I've got a bowline tied at this end, okay, and then a carabiner on this end, okay. I'm just going to wrap it around this tree here. There we go. So I get that nice and snug. I put it up about as high as I could reach. I've got a long ways to go over to the other tree. So when you're doing two trees that are far apart, you want to get higher up, okay? All right, over to the other tree now. All right, that's my ridgeline set up. How I did that knot at that end, I'll show you when I get everything set up, okay? And also the prusik knots that are there too. Now comes the Tyvek. Tyvek is a pretty amazing material. It can rip, and when it does suffer a rip, it's a major catastrophic incident. This has ripped once before. I've patched the corner that ripped with some duct tape, old duct tape. DIY guy's kind of best friend is duct tape. And what I have done, I've taken mason line, tied off a loop at one end, and run it down the middle of the Tyvek from corner to corner diagonally. So I've crisscrossed it, okay? And can't see it very well on here, but a couple of points along the way, I tied a knot in the mason string, okay, in the mason line, so that the duct tape has got more to hold on to. It doesn't pull out so easily, okay? It's a trick that I saw online one time. All right, so basically I'm just going to take this little loop here, and I've got a Prusik knot on the ridge line there. I'm going to take a twig, I'm going to attach it using your standard kind of marlin spike? Yeah, marlin spike. All right, hang on now. That's the nice thing about being out in the woods, there's always twigs laying around. You don't need much of a twig. Okay. That's one end. Now I'm going to do something that for a lot of people doing rainflies they find somewhat dangerous, foolish, maybe even blasphemous. I'm going to put this ridge line under my rainfly. And then at the other end, I'm going to attach it to the other Prusik knot with a twig and a marlin spike, same technique. It just goes through there, loops around. Pull that nice and tight. Okay. Now we're going to take our bungee cord, spikes, stakes, round sticks, I don't know what you want to call them. Anyway. Attach the bungee cord. That's too tight. There we go. That's one corner. That's the other corner, and that's that set up. All right, now that I've got it set up, thinking, hey, that looks pretty good. The nice thing also with these kind of tarps is if you just want to do that one corner up high, so you've got kind of like a porch effect. With the bungee cords, it's pretty quick and easy to do. That's that. So now I've got some good headroom in here, and I can sit under here and do my cooking if it's raining. All right, now that I've got it set up, I'm going to get this camera, turn it around, and bring it in close and show you some of the details, because I know that's what you're looking for right now. It's like, hey, that looks great and all. Show me the details, because that's what really matters to me. I'm a DIY kind of person. I want to make this kind of stuff myself. How did you do that? All right, stand by. All right, so this end that I started with the ridgeline, just your straightforward basic carabiner, nothing fancy for the carabiner there, and your paracord. Now I use reflective paracord. I like to use bright blues and reds and colors like that so it's easy to see. Nothing worse than tripping over some black line in the middle of the night, even if it's reflective. If you don't shine your light right on it, you don't see it, you end up tripping. Now I get down to here, let me show you this in a little more detail. You see that? It's just your classic marlin spike and your prusik knot. Now, water comes down here. If it doesn't drip off here, it gets down to the stick, drips off the stick, or at this point right here. So the water doesn't really get down under here. And if it does, because it's touching under here, it normally just drips off and comes down here. Okay? And as you can see, all I've done is taken this mason line, put it against the Tyvek, and taped it down. I use duct tape. You could also use that kind of cloth packing tape as well. That would work too, I think. And when you get down to here, you can see that I've also got the same thing running down to the corner there. So whichever corner I take out of the bag with the Tyvek, with this tarp, that first corner, doesn't matter which end it is, because this is a dead-on perfect square near about. That's the end I start with. I just go from there. All right, let's get down to this end. This is an extra cord prusik knot thing that I've got just here, just to hang things off when I'm in my hammock. And here, same setup, stick, marlin spike, prusik. Water comes down. If it doesn't drip off here, it gets down to here, drips off here, or drips off the stick. I've even got an extra bit of a tag right here, it can drip off too. So again, the water doesn't make it all the way down to here. Carrying all the way up to the tree, all I've done is wrap it around the tree once, back against itself, wrapped it around a couple times, and just tied a slip knot, and this is the important part, tied a slip knot on the part coming around from the other side of the tree. That's what gives it the tension and holds it tight. Okay? Now let's have a look over here. Again, same thing. Mason line has come down, hooked to there. Now, why am I not using just a guy line and tightening it that way? What I have found is that this flexibility, when the wind is blowing, is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And when it's too tight, it can tend to pull everything out and rip everything. But this has got some give. So instead of this taking all the, the tension and the torque, this takes it. Now you're probably thinking, well, Glenn, just make yourself a line with a shock cord on it. Well, I've made a couple of those, but they've not worked out so well for me. They've usually come apart, or they didn't have enough stretch to them to do what I wanted them to do. So, bungee cords. This is the corner that I patched. Originally the way I was doing this was a piece of styrofoam in here, bowled around, tied a string around it, and then down to the line here. That ripped catastrophically, just tore straight out. So this whole corner here really is duct tape. Yay, duct tape. But it's pretty sturdy, pretty strong, and it's holding this in just fine. And the same thing here, down to the bungee cord and into the ground. I've got my pole just sitting right there as a porch. Okay. All right. And as you can see, I've got a fair amount of headroom here. I'm holding this at head height as I'm walking along. And you can just hear it just touching the head of my, the top of my hat as I'm walking along. It all depends on how high you string it, of course. I was string mine about this height. When the weather is really foul, and I know it's going to be raining hard, all of this is much closer to the ground, and I string it up on that tree much, much closer to the ground. Okay? All right. Let me put this back in the tripod and we'll wrap this up. Okay. Thanks for joining me on this, and let's kind of wrap this up with a discussion about Tyvek itself. Tyvek has got some serious advantages to it. It's extremely light. It's waterproof, and it dries off quickly. And you can do almost anything to it. Okay. It does have some disadvantages. It does rip easy. Okay? It will fade over time and suffer environmental damage over time from what I've been told. Hasn't happened with this one, but that's what I've read online. How long that takes, I don't know. It depends on the environment that you're in. I like this tarp. I like the diamond-shaped tarps for the reason of convenience for setup. I like this design. I can cinch it down nice and close, and I feel like I'm more protected, and I have been more protected even in bad weather. So this design and this Tyvek I really like. I'm probably going to use it for the rest of the year until we get into the hard winter time when I'm going to be using my big black tarp. Okay. Now, I know some of you are looking at this and thinking, I've got suggestions for you, Glenn. This is why you shouldn't do this. This is why you should do this instead. Tell me about them. I really want to hear. A lot of the ideas I get from my DIY stuff and my make your own gear kind of stuff comes from you. You're the people who have come up with ideas, and we pass these ideas all around amongst each other, and we help each other out. We come up with crazy ideas and try it in our backyards like I do here. Some of them work, some of them don't. We pass them around some more. We all learn from this, and it's this huge, great DIY, make your own gear kind of community of nutcases like us who take pieces of tarp, mason line, and some duct tape, and put something together like this. And if you think this is good, wait to see the backpack I'm making. Anyway, if you've got comments, questions, put them down there in the comment section. I want to hear them. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your suggestions. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, please, because that's always a good thing to do. And hopefully I'll see you out on the trail, maybe in your own DIY Tyvek tarp. Bye now.